All right, let's move on to part two. Let's use reduce to find the cheapest item. And then I'm going to talk about whether or not we need to use the second argument of reduce in this case. Okay, how do we find the cheapest item? Let's do const cheapest is equal to items array dot reduce. Remember, reduce, we have to use the accumulator and the init. Now, I'm not going to use a second argument for now. What happens if you don't use a second argument for reduce? Well, if you don't, on the first iteration of the loop, your ACK variable will refer to the very first value in your array. In this case, it's this hat object. And your init on the first loop will default to the second value in your array. In this case, the iPhone. Okay. So how do we check? We can do an if statement here. So we can do if ACK, which is this object, if ACK.price is less than init.price, what happens? We're going to return ACK. Why are we returning ACK and not ACK.price? Because we want the whole object. Okay, ACK is the whole object. And then else, we're just going to return init as the whole object as well. And then I'm going to console.log cheapest. So you see that it's the candy, which is price 2. If I change the hat to price 1, we're going to see that it's hat. Yeah. What if we want to find the most expensive? Well, all you have to do is flip the sign. And then now we have iPhone. Cool, right? Okay. Should we use the second argument? What happens if I just put like an object right here? Oh, it still works. Why is that? Well, let's review. If you use the second argument on the first iteration, your ACK will be the second argument, which is an empty object. So on the first loop, JavaScript looks at this empty object, which does not have a price property. So its price property is undefined. So it's going to compare undefined to see if it's less than 10, okay, because that's the first one, and it will be false, okay? So this means act.price is not less than init.price. Therefore, it returns the init, which in this case is the hat. Okay. So now on the second loop, the ACK is now the hat object. So it still works, right? But in this case, you should realize that you don't need to use the second argument. Okay. Because we never want to do extra things when we don't need to. Okay. Can we improve this return statement? Yes. We can use a conditional ternary return, such as return, but what are we returning will be dependent on the condition, which is this, question mark. So if act.price is less than init.price, we're going to return act. And if not, we're returning init. And we're going to get the same thing. Cool, huh? Okay, let's move on to the find method.